Magic and I were just going gaga because, as I mentioned on the cast, we got to commentate Area Cup 77 back at the start of Splatoon 3. I still don't think there's been a better tournament. Like, open entry tournament, I think that Area Cup 77 is still the best tournament ever. 192 teams, every Japanese legend was there, and it was won by an ink brush, E-liter, the sloshing machine, and I forget what the fourth was. Doesn't
It was
really
probably
matter.
Splash, right?
It was probably Splash or a shooter or something. I mean, Double Crab hadn't really come into vogue there, but the point is, it was the E-liter. It was Takechi on the E-liter who like single-handedly won that tournament for them, and it was unbelievable. So as Samurai Cat continued to make their run deeper and deeper with an E-liter comp, we were just like, it's not going to happen again. It's coming again. But one thing I will say about Samurai Kasuto, which is how you know he's a godly E-liter player, is after the tournament, as I always do, I go and follow like all the Japanese players. My Twitter is like 90% Japanese at this point. But the only highlight that Samurai had posted from the entire tournament, a tournament in which there were quads, collateral, insane shots, was an NZAP highlight. Saying basically, my end zap on this game was too hot. I've conquered Urchin Underpass. And it was just this, like, that's how you know when all those plays are so commonplace that your end zap play is what gets you hyped enough to post online. So, yeah, I mean, what a run from Samurai Cat. And I also was really excited, just kind of as a side note, Suemaru, another player that I think hadn't been in as many big tournaments recently, but in a lot of the old documents that Magic and I were revisiting from kind of our earlier study things, Suemaru was there as a gal player, as sometimes a squeezer player, but just a very like rank and file strong shooter player that didn't really get as much love necessarily, I think, as some of the other big highlight shooters. So it was cool to see that name float back around again. There's plenty of amazing shooter players in Japan, so it's always cool when one gets to kind of stamp their name on a big tournament run like that.
Nolan, have you and go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna agree with the point. It's like, yeah, I have never in my life seen an E-liter as consistent as Kasato. And like how you bring up that the only thing that was surprising to them was like, wow, my zap was pretty good on just Urchin. It's like,
yeah.
If you played Anchor, any of you guys in the like streams playing Anchor, watch Kasato. The codes are out. You will be blown away by just how insane their sniper aim is.
I think they also posted the entire, because it popped up on my YouTube feed afterwards, actually. Like the entire VOD of the run from their perspective is on YouTube. You just have to search up Kasato, probably in the hiragana. But like it's all there. It's crazy. But no, what I was going to ask was, Nolan, did you and Moonlight, did you like watch their sets? Did you have any like, was Basil frothing at the mouth?
Yeah, Basil was enjoying it. Really wanted the E-liter to take it home, of course. I didn't get to watch all the way through, unfortunately. I checked back up afterwards, but it was crazy to watch. That every single time the leader team took a game, they got counterpicked Urchin immediately, like frame one, every single time, and that's. I was gonna say with the tweet with the zap on Urchin, like, yeah, that's probably why, because they played it probably 6-7 times that tournament.
Yeah. Well, if you look at their tournament run, Samurai Cat, with the exception of their win versus Milky Way, not a lot of clean sets. I mean, it's 2-1s, it's 3-1s, it's of course 1-3, the sets that they lose, and that's I think what's maybe even more impressive about their run. Is at least until they figured out the NZAP mid-tournament, mind you, they were basically guaranteed one loss every set because they were going to get counterpicked to Urchin, or I think they got counterpicked to Humpback once or twice or something. But yeah, they would just immediately get counterpicked to a map that they didn't have a real answer for. And to make a tournament run in the face of always losing one game on the counterpick screen makes it even more impressive. Now, the flip side to that is, okay, we get eel tail game 3, you idiots, but that also means you have to win game 1 on the neutral, and that's not easy when it comes to pressure. Like knowing that you kind of need to win game 1 if you want to win the set. And again, so impressive to figure out that NZAP to that level. I know some people may be like, oh, you figured out NZAP, whatever. Like everyone figures out NZAP, but like you got to understand it's a different level here, okay? You can't just be painting nothing.
Wait, scroll back up. Did they win every game 1 except for one? No, they won every single game 1.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy.
Huh.
Guaranteed urchin.
Wow. All that hard work just to get counterpicked to Urchin, no matter what you do.
But that's insane consistency. What? Like, that's insane.
Production is losing it back here. Okay, this is these. We'll talk about the stat sheets that you all put together in this and the real time stat. I think this might be your finest work in terms of real time statistics. This is this is the good stuff right here.
It almost reminds me of like in a fighting, specifically Smash Bros, right? Whether Smash Bros, like if you lose a game, you can bet. Like if you win a game, you ban himself and the opponent's counter pick you, right? This reminds me of like a character like Kazuya who really, really likes these stages with no platforms. And whenever Kazuya loses a game, you know what they're gonna counter pick. Whenever Kazuya wins a game, you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna pick all the platforms in the world. They're just gonna camp. Leader kind of reminds me of like this really polarizing, inevitable type weapon where it's like, okay, this leader's too good. We have to pick the stuff that limits it. If we pick that stuff, we might be fine. It's so interesting. It's so interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm more of a Marth on FD type of guy myself, but the point is well taken. But actually, I'd like to spin this off a little bit because I guess this is sort of encroaching on the Declaration of Inkopolis. So maybe we'll just talk about it here. Obviously, the hallmark of Area Cup is the simplicity of its format. Well, I guess the hallmark is that all the godly players show up. But number 2 is the format. It's very, very simple. It's, random pick for number 1, then counter picks from all the Splat Zones maps. It's interesting. We don't really have a format like that is commonly played, I should say. Obviously, this type of format has been run over here before. But that meant that you got to see some of these weird picks that favor some of these comps. And I think that took the prep to a different level as well, or at least the mid-tournament reactions to it. Nolan, you're like one of the perfect people to talk about this because I've always looked at Moonlight as a team that really has an idea when they go into a map mode, and the more prep time you guys get, the more you can kind of hone in on that. I think back to obviously the iconic Bamboozler picks of yesteryear. But I also think of like the maps where you would bring Kraken out as opposed to some of your other weapons and change that up a little bit. So I'm curious kind of open up the discussion to that thought of that format and if some of the great games that we got in these storylines were just because it's only Splat Zones, but that means we can play every map.
Yeah, I think definitely some of the games at least were like, okay, we can pick, we practice this map, we know our game plan, like we can win this map. But also like these other teams are also practicing those maps that they're bad on. We had our fair share of experimentation with Bamboozler.
Yeah.
Mako Zones really just had it out for us. We played that map 8 times in a row in a scrim until we won, until we figured it out. And that was the comp we landed on. Yeah, I'm glad my weapon pool has at least opened up a bit now. Kraken 96 is not great everywhere, but my teammates are incredible and they know how to fill these gaps of what each of us are missing. I think that formula for counter picks would be great. I think closest thing we have is something like In the Zone, if I'm not mistaken, where you get to pick, but I think it's limited pools of maps. I would be open to trying everything. Just go through with it, every map, play everything, get some oddball picks, surprise the opponent. I think it'd be fun.
On only one mode, or are you saying all stages and all modes?
My opinion has flipped. I'm more all zones now leaning.
Wow.
I think modes are fine except for Rainmaker, except for TC, except for clams. So it just leads back to zones.
No, Turf War is still open. It sounds like.
Oh God, not this can of
Shadow-
worms again.
Shadow is jumping for joy right now. He would love to play Turf War. Obviously not popular,
Hey,
but
let the record show at one point Gray was vehemently saying that Turf War is the second best mode in the game. So, and yeah, I mean, that opinion may have changed at that point, but I do remember that document coming out as well and just being like, huh, I'm sure people will take this and be absolutely rational with it.
Very rational.
I remember like when we first started talking in S2 when the map pool ended up getting like massive. We started talking about limiting the map pool and like literally these first conversations, like there was the whole idea of like what it really boiled down to is like, do we value adaptability? Right? Do we value flexibility? Do we value being able to adapt to multiple kinds of maps, even the ones that aren't necessarily the most generally competitive, in order, or do we go the other way where we say, all right, well, these we know are the more generally competitive. You can have the widest breadth of options, right? It's not one dimensional. These are definitionally better maps, right? And so these are the ones that are more competitive. These are the ones that we should play on. And because of that, we can start honing in on strategies and valuing prep time over general adaptability. And I feel like that's a lot of what the arguments were when breaking down that specific scenario, right? Like when we first started using map pools. But I feel like it's almost flipping back to the other direction now, where now all of a sudden we're saying, no, maybe adaptability is the better way to go, is something that is more valuable for learning the game more in the long run.
Well, I think the nice thing about an all mode tournament is that you kind of get the best of both. Like you get to play lots of different maps, but it's like something of a controlled chaos. Like if you get counterpicked to mincemeat zones, you got to hold that. You got to figure something out in a hurry. I mean, get your sloshers warmed up or something. But I mean, I think that part of where that argument started to not fall apart necessarily, but where I think things have changed is that people are just better at the game now. From like an understanding of Splatoon in a general sense, a mechanical sense too, is I think that in practice, what people will do in a situation where adaptability might be called for is if it's just too broad, they'll just go with their 8 out of 10 answer to every problem and then trust that they're better in the scramble situations, that they can recognize more than you. And that can be rough. The thing that is kind of nice, and as we saw, is at the very least, if it's counterpicks, but it's just one mode and it's still all maps, you still get the opportunity to be exposed to a certain thing enough that you can adapt. I mean, the obvious answer, of course, is the NZAP that we were talking about from Samurai Kasuto with Urchin. But as we'll talk about later on here, there's a certain Splatling player that also figured out something to do against an E-leader in real time, which is maybe just spam a certain Inkzuka special. But that's the kind of thing where it's like you've opened it up enough for there to be some counter picks and some adaptability and playing to your strengths, but you haven't opened it up so much that it's fruitless to try to prep for everything. And I think that that is part of why, as we'll talk about in the Declaration of Inkopolis, why that sort of approach is being advocated for, at least by top players.
Yes, it's so interesting seeing the map list evolve. I actually do remember a little bit of I didn't play competitive at this time, but I remember like Magic 8 Ball, like that SMB2 do video talking about, oh well, the map pools are like they're like this and that's the problem. And it's like that's a great point of just how like almost full circle-y it's been, which I love it. I'm here for this. Like, as the map was evolves, like what suits our skill level, what to kind of get us to the way we want to go. I think we just wrap up or we do like a quick little highlight of Naigota, which is one of the players that played in the Splat World Series on that winning team, and we saw some just, I want to say, incredible flexibility throughout pretty much all the players on the winning team on the Invincible Fleet Mario, but specifically against Samurai Cat. There was a bluefin game, a very unique bluefin game where their solution to one of the best snipers to ever grace this planet was to press the right stick a lot. A lot of right stick presses, a lot of Zuka, and it's crazy. It's just like, if you watch the replay, almost every single Zuka that Naigota selected, it would be on Samurai Kazuto's face, just like immediately.
Like, this is always something that we kind of talk about whenever I coach teams. It's like, oh well, if there's really a problem player, or like a problem backline, just literally just devote one of your specials to shutting it down. And I feel like this is just that taken to the umpteenth degree. The most special spamming capable weapon in the game, direct with one of the most mechanically solid players in the game, directly going for you every single time you even had a chance.
Yeah, that just took out. Yeah, I remember we were just losing it during this game. It was such a silly game. It's bluefin to start. Like, the game starts, Naigota has a Zuka within 10 seconds, and then immediately gets sniped. So that doesn't happen. And then Naigota comes back, fires another one, and takes out 3 players. So hilarious. And to a point that Magic made there too, and kind of honing in on some of the other stuff, is I remember people were really high on Rattler, super, super high on Rattler when it first came out. And then I think that there just wasn't a lot of practical applications for it, where people were like, well, where's a map where we actually need tending Zukas? Do we really need it anywhere? Where can we make this work where we wouldn't have a better opportunity to play something else? Because typically people would flex over off of a non-Splatling player onto that weapon, and you're always giving up a little bit when you're taking somebody off their main weapon. With Naigota, that's not a problem, obviously. Every Splatling the guy plays, but also, again, to the other point, here's a map where you'd love to have tending Zukas.
Yeah.
Nolan, what's your take on that concept of using a special specifically to shut down a player? Have you guys used that in practice and tournament?
I think we definitely have. Whether it be a problem player or a problem special that a player has.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's Tri-Strike is a big problem for us. Kind of in the lab trying to figure some stuff out for that. But yeah, definitely at least experimenting with and we have tried just trying to get rid of a specific player, whether it be again the player themselves, their weapon, their special. Obviously it has application and it works, so it really depends on the individual skill level of that player to perform it consistently. Because I could pick Rattler, I'm not gonna do as well as they would. So,
Well, what I'm hearing now is that this is the soft launch of the SS Nolan Rattler mini Splatling.
that's Shadow's job. He's got that.
Oh, okay. Double Rattler? Double Rattler? Come on.
Double? 20 Zukas a game? I mean,
That's enough.
At that point, there's enough hitboxes where it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're just going back to VJet missile spam. What are we doing, y'all? Come
Actually,
on.
yeah. Is there enough turf on any of the maps for both Rattlers to eat here? I'm not sure, actually, now that I think about it. You'll just go to Eeltail, Humpback. Man, we're kind of running dry. Yeah, well, oh god, Wahoo. Yeah, I guess.